Now, technology is moving fast, with companies employing cutting edge data centers to help develop the next gen of the web, high performance computing, and of course, AI as well. One such company is NASDAQ and Canada Venture Exchange listed Hive Digital Technology. And Aydin Kilic is the CEO, and he joins us now. Aydin, thank you so much for taking the time in your trip to London. First of all, give us an overview of your business and revenue model. What can investors expect from your business?
Yeah, so we are a fast-paced growth business, but Hive is not a startup. Hive is actually the first publicly traded cryptocurrency mining company ever. Hive went public in September of 2017, and really it was groundbreaking because in 2017, crypto was still in its relative infancy compared to today when we have Bitcoin spot ETF that is approved in the US and just recently also approved in Hong Kong. So, really, when Hive went public in 2017, it was a proxy for both retail and institutional investors to have exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum as an asset class. And how did Hive accomplish that? Through the business of what we call mining. And mining is essentially a data center business whereby you have megawatts and megawatts of data centers, which run thousands and thousands of specialized Bitcoin mining, or before another big cryptocurrency called Ethereum, servers to mine Ethereum, which were called GPUs or graphic processing units. Now, I'm going to come back to that in a bit. Again, this is a high tech, fast paced business sector. So I do want to educate all the enthusiasts out there and maybe even the generalist investors who want to dip their toe in the pool of high tech. So, really, the first lesson is Bitcoin mining is accomplished with a specialized type of server called an ASIC, an application specific integrated circuit. It's a big fancy word. All you need to remember is a Bitcoin ASIC. And these are a specialized server that run an algorithm. And when you run that algorithm, you're validating transactions on the Bitcoin network. And as a reward for that, you get a Bitcoin paid to you on a daily basis. Similarly, with Ethereum, you have um, a very similar process, but the microchip has a different core architecture. For Ethereum, we have what is called a graphic processing unit or a GPU. So to recap, for Bitcoin mining, you have an ASIC, and for Ethereum mining, you have a GPU. And this is a very key distinction. And the reason why I make it and I start off our conversation today with its key distinction is because the GPU is the bedrock of artificial intelligence computing, which we can talk a little bit more about.
Now, Aydin, many of our clients are well versed and already excited with this space. They're probably now thinking, well, how do you differ? What is your AI strategy? And how do you differ from like the likes of Marathon Digital, for example?
Oh, excellent question. So, the reason why I wanted to talk about the GPU chip is because Hive used to be one of the largest Ethereum miners in the world. However, after September 2022, the Ethereum blockchain itself went through a transition where it went from mining as a validation system for transactions to some which we call proof of work to proof of stake, which is a completely different code based validation system. Therefore, our Ethereum mining business ceased to exist overnight. And so, what we did at Hive is we pivoted and we took our fleet of NVIDIA GPUs, which were very powerful GPUs that had the capability to do high performance computing, or HPC as we call it in the industry. And through upgrading our GPUs by putting them in specialized servers, we were allowing them to do AI computations. And so the distinguishing factor from Hive and all the other crypto miners is the other crypto miners that mine Bitcoin have those Bitcoin ASICs. And at Hive, we have Bitcoin ASICs and we have GPUs which can do AI processing. And by the way, they exist in completely different data centers. So a crypto mine is very rugged. You can think of it as a Ford F-150 pickup, and a data center where you would do AI is very refined. You can almost eat off the floor. It's like a Ferrari, right? So we have in Quebec, by the way, we have operations in Sweden, Iceland, and Canada. And in Canada, for example, our crypto mine is 2 hours outside of Montreal. Our AI uh, data center is in Montreal. They're 2 hours apart, right? And in Sweden, we also do AI processing, and that's in Stockholm at a tier 3 data center. Whereas our Bitcoin mine in Sweden is 2 hours to the north by plane near the Arctic Circle. So we have that duality at Hive. We have two distinct operations: Bitcoin mining and AI computations with GPUs. And why does that matter to investors? Because the revenues from AI are 10 times those per megawatt of Bitcoin. For example, if you wanted to do $100 million of revenue with Bitcoin mining, you would need like 100 megawatts. If you wanted to do 100 million of revenue with AI processing, you would only need 10 megawatts. And so it's that profit density which makes AI so attractive. It's the demand and growth of the AI sector. There's more and more compute constantly being sought after by the hyperscalers, by Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. But Hive, we're in the same category as a company like, for example, CoreWeave or Lambda Labs, which have made headlines. And so we are an open source cloud provider where people can utilize our GPUs to process AI at a fraction of the cost of what it would cost you on AWS, for example. And all the while, still maintaining profit margins that are over 10 times that with Bitcoin mining today.
That's really interesting because many in this space, or who trade the space, cover the space, one of the key concerns is how sustainable it is in terms of energy. You mentioned that your business is powered by green energy, hydro in Sweden and Canada, geothermal. How often do you go and check these sources, these green energy sources, to make sure that they are above board and doing what they say?
Well, in New Brunswick, at our flagship facility, it is in a town called Grand Falls. And the reason why it's called Grand Falls is because of the big hydro dam there. So that's a pretty good indication that you've got a source of hydro generation close by. In Quebec, all of our power comes from a utility, which is called Hydro Quebec. So that's another good indication that it's hydropower. And similarly, in Iceland, as you get out of the Keflavik airport, where our facility is very close to, you can see at the distance the massive geothermal plant with all the steam billowing out of it. So it's pretty well established that these jurisdictions are hydro driven. And similarly, in northern Sweden, where there's it's also hydropower. So we've set up in these jurisdictions with intent because we wanted to be operating in cool, dry climates, which are very conducive, right, to data center operations with cheap, renewable green energy, right? And that is what gives Hive a competitive edge since day one, really.
And you're valued at 380 million Canadian dollars last time we checked here. How much of what you're doing in is already priced in, Aydin?
Well, I would say we are dramatically undervalued because Hive has over 2,200 Bitcoin on its balance sheet. And so, as of our most recent disclosure, so with Bitcoin prices where they are at today, that is almost 150 million US. And so our market cap is about, you know, 380 million Canadian. Well, we've got almost 200 million Canadian of Bitcoin on our balance sheet with very, very little debt, less than 10 million debt. And that debt is really just a mortgage on our data center in New Brunswick and a small convertible note. So really, we're trading at an enterprise value of something in the realm of perhaps 150 to 200 million dollars Canadian, and when you look at the growth that our company has undertaken, the Bitcoin halving occurred recently. And we're going to provide a production report shortly, but I can tell you that prior to the halving event, we were producing about 7 to 8 Bitcoin per day. So you can infer from that today Hive is producing about 4 Bitcoin per day. So that is about $250,000 of revenue daily that we're producing. And on top of that, we have recently hit $10 million of annual run rate revenue from our AI business in addition to this. Now, I'm giving you approximate figures. So when you look at where data center businesses trade, they usually trade at 10x EBITDA and 10x revenue and 20x EBITDA. So if you were to look at our AI revenue alone, one at data center multiples, that would be $100 million business unit on its own. And on the Bitcoin mining business, if we're doing $250,000 of revenue a day, well, that's almost $100 million of revenue a year from the Bitcoin mining business as well. Our peers in the industry, such as Marathon, CleanSpark, and Riot, are trading at multiples of 6 to 8 times where Hive is trading today. Now, you may ask why. The reason is a lot of the companies that are domiciled in the US are able to get indexed on, such as a Russell 3000, and that liquidity causes them to trade at a great premium and also get indexed by some of the larger institutional funds. And so at Hive, even though we've got a rock solid business, we are trading at a discount to our peers. And so I think that makes, in my opinion, a great opportunity for those looking for exposure to either Bitcoin mining or AI computing.
Where do you see this mix changing in the next year? I mean, it sounds like you're getting more out of the AI data center business than the mining. I mean, do you see that taking a bigger priority in the years ahead?
Yeah, so we've previously disclosed our vision is to grow the AI business to 100 million of annual run rate revenue. And we've grown the business. We started our beta test at the beginning of 2023, reaching 1 million of annual run rate revenue, growing that to 10 million of ARR today. And we want to grow that another 10x to 100 million of ARR. So going back to those data center business multiples, if we're at 10 million revenue today, at a 10x valuation, that would be 100 million for the AI business. If we were to look at 100 million annual run rate revenue, 10x, that would be $1 billion business. So we think that our AI computing business has the potential to be $1 billion business. Now, how do we get there? Well, again, Hive has 38,000 NVIDIA data center grade GPUs. And if they were all doing AI processing, they could realize a potential revenue of $100 million. So as we upgrade the servers that these GPUs operate in and then install them in tier 3 data centers, we're able to grow that revenue. And we've been ardently pursuing this and we're very excited about it. I personally am thrilled. I'm an engineer, so I love this stuff. It's super fun and exciting for me.
Thank you very much, Aydin Kilic, the Chief Executive of Hive Digital Technology, there talking to IG.